Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another Warframe video here on the channel. Now this one here will contain some spoilers for the new war, so if you haven't played that or watched through it, be advised, spoilers lie ahead, sort of. But this video is just a little bit of a talky one with the game where we're actually going to talk over the aftermath of the war. So, first thing I'm going to do is we're actually going to head back downstairs in our orbiter, where I'm just going to show off a couple of new things. So, obviously, at the end of the new war, we have to choose between Natar, Lotus, and Margulis. Now, if you then go into the little personal quarters, which is on my right here, we still have the Lotus's helmet there. Now, when you go there, you can basically customize your Lotus, Natar, or Margulis. As you can see, you can change all the colours, just like you can with your Warframe, with your operator, with your weapons, with anything else. You can do that with Lotus, Natar, or Margulis as well. You can obviously randomise those as well. As you can see, I've sort of gone for like a golden red theme, but you can change that however you wish to. On top of that, you can actually switch between the different appearances. So there are 5 appearances. Depending on what you chose at the end of the quest, you will have Lotus Radiant, Margulis, or Natar, and you will also have base Lotus unlocked. You can buy the others for 165 plat each, and you can also buy the Eidolon Lotus as well, which is obviously the broken one that we actually saw in the quest. But as you can see, you can switch between all of them. There's the Eidolon Lotus, there's Margulis, and here's Lotus Radiant as well. And then obviously there is the original base Lotus, who you can change the colours of now as well. And then there is obviously Natar as well, which is the one that I chose. So you can choose whichever one you want and customise it however you wish to. And so yeah, that's that. That's not the only new thing that you can customise there as well. If you go into the operator's room, so the transference room, or where the somatic link is, you go up to the chair, which is where your operator normally sits on. Now if you interact with that, as you can see, I have my operator here, who I've actually put a new suit on and put some colours on him for once. But you can then see those hands linking in like a tag team. Now you can tag in your drifter, and so you can switch between your operator and your drifter. Now both are fully customizable. Obviously they have slight differences in appearance and stuff, but what it is intended as is the drifter is intended as the older form of your operator. So as you can see, I've sort of done the same sort of suit with the same colour scheme and tried to make it look almost like my operator 20 years on. That is actually done intentionally so that you can effectively do it how you want to, so you can actually make it look like your older operator, because that's kind of who he is. But I'm going to stick with the normal operator for now because it just feels right having my normal operator. I don't quite know why. And then obviously some other things to point out is you do get obviously your weapons at the end of the quest. So we did get Nataruk, we got the Rumblejack, and we got the Scirocco Amp. We do get a couple of boosters as well, but that obviously I talked about in the New War mini-series, which if you haven't watched it will be in the same playlist, which will be Warframe Update 31, the New War. Now, first thing you'll notice when you spawn in on the star chart, you can see off to the left of Cetus there. It's a little bit hard to see on Cetus, but you can see dead Murex everywhere, littering the star chart. If I zoom in on a few planets, you'll see them a lot more clearly. You should be able to see them dotted around there. If I zoom in on Saturn, you'll see one, especially if I zoom in on Venus as well, and then Earth. And it is Earth where I actually want to show you the next thing. So as you can see, obviously the Murex there everywhere. Now, there is a new node here on Earth. Now obviously you've got all the main nodes. Once you've done the second dream, you'll have access to Lua. Once you've done Chains of Harrow, you'll have access to the Iron Wake. You'll unlock those. There is a new node now that you unlock from the New War. So currently, as you can see, we're on our orbiter. Now, if you remember from the quest, you had Drifter's Camp. You can switch your operations base there. So you can actually choose to move over to the Drifter's Camp. And instead of running all your operations from the orbiter, orbiting planets, you can actually move it to the Drifter's Camp. Now, the Drifter's Camp obviously keeps all your orbital decorations up in the top. Then you go, instead of going down the stairs, you teleport down outside, where you can then go down into the back part of the ship, which again will have kept your decorations, and with all your foundry and stuff down there, with obviously your helmets and your back rooms. It's almost exactly the same, but in between you can then go outside and actually explore the Drifter's Camp and actually find peace outside. It is quite a pretty little area. You can go and explore, you can have a little look around. As you can see, it's very pretty to just sit and watch the water go by on the river. Just have a little look out into the forests. And then if you look back, you can actually see the way that the orbiter is constructed there. Very, very cleverly built. And as I say, you can also come up and around here, and you can see the stream even better from up here, where it flows down from the waterfall that flows down and through and under. Very, very pretty to look at. Now, obviously, you can come here whenever you like. As you see there, Ordis as well retains his new robotic form. Instead of just being a mere cephalon, he now has his own little body, his own little robotic body, and that's how he talks to you. So, where would we be without the Fallen of the New War? Well, first place we need to go to is we need to go to a relay, because I need to show what has happened to the Fallen. Now, we're not sure what exactly has happened to the likes of Error in the quest. It's not confirmed whether he is dead or alive, but if we go to the Vesper relay, one person we do know is dead. So, as of this quest, we did unfortunately say RIP to Teshin Dax. However, who's going to run Conclave? Teshin always ran Conclave for us. Well, if you head to the room now, oh, I can't get out the lift. If you head to Conclave now, you'll be greeted by quite a sad sight. Teshin is now merely a red hologram. And that is all he will be from now on. But he is still running your Steel Path Honours here, where you can buy all of your stuff for your Steel Essence, or your Relic Packs, your the relics, the T-sets, glyphs, noggles, ephemeras, your stance former blueprints, which I know a lot of people like those, secondary and primary arcane adapters, which are very useful now, the Bishamo armor set, so you can dress like a Dax. You can buy former from him as well, and your Veiled Riven Ciphers, so you can still go there for your Steel Path Honours, and you can still go there about Conclave. So obviously if you do your Conclave, you can still come here to do that. Now that's it for the relays. But from here, if I go to the navigation, we can go directly to our next location, which is Fortuna. In fact, you know what? Actually, I'll leave Fortuna till last. We'll do Cetus first. So, with Cetus, as we know, it was put under Nama control. The remnants of that control are still visible now. So one of the first things that you might notice is obviously the giant shattered veil up there. But I'm going to turn around and we're going to look at the Unum's tower. as you can see, the destruction from that is still there. Still very visible. Hopefully they will rebuild it over time, as you can see as well. There's a lot of red there. That is all red powder from the Nama. And then if we come sort of around here as well, you can see what looks a bit like sentient remains with a little bit more of the red littered everywhere around here. And as we actually head into Cetus, all seems quite fine at first. Mostly alright around here, except for when we look up at the main central tower, where the massive Nama mirror things, the big glass panels that were glowing red and making all funny noise, still lies there, cracked. And as we turn towards the gates of Cetus, you will also see one other thing, a giant dead Chondrix. The Chondrix were the massive Orphix-like creatures that kept us all sort of subdued. And yeah, that's just a dead reminder of the new war. Now, one other thing whilst we're here as well is just to point out the quills. If you come in here, it doesn't look very different at first, but what you might notice is that there is the secret back door. The back door that we used to sneak into Cetus near the end of the new war in the She Gives We Live part of the quest, where we snuck in here and had to sneak through here to get into Cetus through the Orphix field, which was established by that massive Chondrix. Now, before we leave the area, the place that we need to go, we actually need to go on to Plains itself, because the Plains has also, as you may understand, suffered substantial consequences. Now, before I go any further, whilst we load in, I thought a few people have actually questioned why Deimos didn't have any changes. That is because Deimos was actually intended to come after the New War quest, but because of the delays on the New War, we got Deimos first, so Deimos was not involved in the New War in any way. So, if I go into my Archwing, fly around, you won't notice many differences at first. However, if I fly up a little bit, and as we look around, you might notice some slight changes, if I can get rid of this dust damaging that is. So as I look down and around, you might notice a few little changes. Might not be that noticeable at first, but as we head over here, you might notice these giant Chondrix that have died, that have fallen. There's a massive one here, over by this little lake. I do believe there is one all the way off to the side over here, and over in the ocean. And there are a couple more as well, so we've got those two there. Other than that though, the planes do seem like they didn't actually suffer that much damage. You would have thought that they'd have suffered a little bit more damage, but they actually didn't. They did survive mostly unscathed, as you see up here. There is another massive Chondrix up here, and this one is quite noticeable, the size and just sheer destruction around it. You can see quite clearly how big that one was. And the fourth and final one is down by Gara Tot Lake, where again you can see a massive one at the lake, where this is normally where the Eidolon come out as well. So I don't quite know how that's affected the Eidolon hunting, but normally you come down to this little altar here, placing your Eidolon shards, and your Terrorist, well, your Hydralist and your Ganchlists spawn, but they might not do that anymore because of the Chondrix, which, if you actually look, there is a lot of sort of energy coming up out of the water around said Chondrix, so that might be intriguing for the future, leading into the next thing, which I'll talk about that in a minute. So for now, let's head back into Cetus. I've got to admit, I'm very impressed with the loading times. So, for those of you who actually are curious, because a few people have mentioned it to me, I am now on the Series X rather than the Xbox One, and obviously the Series X has much quicker loading times, so that is going to be very useful for videos and stuff like that. And as you can see, you've got a good view of the Vale from here. So, if I leave Cetus, we'll go to the very last places and then wrap up this video. But for now, so yeah, there's already quite a noticeable amount of changes. And finally, so Venus, Fortuna. Now, when you actually hover over Fortuna, you'll see already it's bright red. Now, that obviously is in reference to the song for Nama. So we originally had We All Live Together, we had For Nama. If you actually play them side by side, they line up very well. That was intentional. One of them is pretty much a reverse melody of the other. Intentional because We All Live Together is a song about everyone working together and fighting as one, whereas For Nama is fighting for your independence from each other in quite a dark way, united under one ruler. So they kind of contradict each other, and it worked very well. So Fortuna, the first thing you'll notice is the lighting here is no longer purple, it is now very, very red. Obviously the base layout is still the same, but in the middle here we do have the little tunnel that we had to use in the actual stolen plates part of the quest, so part number 5. Video number 5 of mine, if you watch them. Another little thing to note in Fortuna is the big golden structure in the middle, the Orokin structure. They actually did keep that. It does look quite nice, I must admit. Another thing as well is in the quest, again, you also have to sneak down through the vents, which is where we saw the vent kids. You can now enter there. Just like in the quest, though, you are destined to fall down the hatch here. You're supposed to do that in the quest, and you are supposed to still do that now. You come through here, and you can still see the security panel, which you had to hack in the quest to get past a locked door here. That security panel right there, that's where you did the armor hack. Then when you come up here, this was where like all the vent kids are with their floofs and stuff. And they were sat with their little candle, trying to keep warm with their little candle in the quest, but they're obviously not there now. And as you can see on the wall as well, all their spray painted things that they'd put on there, because of Nama, they ended up having to spray paint the red Nama logo over it, a constant reminder of, well, worst days. And if we exit there, again, you come back out where we actually exited from the quest. Obviously, you can still access the main vent kids through the normal hatch. You can still access the back room and everything. And then you come up here where it's, again, effectively the same, except for when you look up where there is the massive Nama veil before you, well, the Nama glass pane, before you go actually into the Orb Vallis, where Yudico is obviously on the left, and then you enter the elevator. Now, when you enter the elevator itself, you'll actually notice one thing, and that is that there's a big TV screen in front of you showing the Nama logo in the Nama colours. Very, very foreboding. The fact that it's still there as well is kind of terrifying. So, the Orb Vallis. Now, first thing you're going to notice when you load out here is the terraforming is actually succeeding. Instead of it going from what is known in real life as just this horrible, flaming hot planet where it rains metal. Here it was an icy wasteland, but now it's fertile. Things are growing. There are little trees everywhere starting to grow. The Tepa nodules that you used to collect, they're now massive plants. So that's one thing that you will notice. Now, when we go directly up, there's another thing that you will notice. Hopefully, you will notice 2 Murex dead off to the sides of the map. So you can see over there the big red glow where there is one. That one there. You should be able to see the outlines of it. And then if you look around the other side, there is another one. A little bit further off in the distance, possibly a little bit harder for you guys to see. But yeah, in fact, no, tell a lie, there are 3 dead Murex. Because if I carry on around a little bit further, as you can see, there's another one there. That one there was the first one. So that one there is a 3rd Murex. So there are 3 dead Murex around here. Now, those are not the only changes. The other changes that we want to go to see are over at the Pearl, I believe it is. So we want to head in this direction over here. So as you can see, obviously, it's not so much of an icy wasteland anymore. Now, when you reach the Pearl, it's not the Pearl then. Although that does seem to be breaking apart now somewhat, which is curious. I'm very curious, actually. It's almost like they're harvesting metal from it, or transposing more metal onto it. If we continue around here, it's a big aster crater here, and shouldn't be much more around down this part. Obviously we do have the transit depot over here, which obviously you can normally hack that. Pretty much the same still there, but ooh, there's a big cave here. Don't know if I've ever been in that one. So if we come around here, the spaceport. Now obviously we know this from the Stolen Plates quest. Again, this was a significant place because this was the Narma Veil factory. Now if you actually come here now, the remnants of Narma are still there, because again you can see the gigantic Narma glass up on the top of the spaceport. And then if you actually head inside, I do believe that you can still see the remnants of Narma architecture in here. So obviously here is where we'd have gone off to the sides and had to hack our way through and sneak past the deacons using pipelines and stuff. And then we snuck through here. All in all, it doesn't look too different in here though. And it just generally isn't. It's pretty much the same as it used to be. But, yeah, so the only Narma architecture is really on the outside of this building, but there is still the Narma architecture there. Just because it's not actually on the inside doesn't mean that it's not still there. It's still very, very prevalent. And very foreboding, dare I say it as well. So if we go back into Arcwing form, head out of here, and over here we've got the Orokin dig site, where, just as foreboding as ever, they're just analysing some Orokin remains. You never really come down this part of the map, but it's never quite been explained what that giant thing is. Potentially could link to an upcoming thing, which again I will mention soon. As we come around here, there's nothing much more over here at all, but there's another crater, the Haringi crater over here. genuinely quite deep. I think you can actually fall off the map in those. And then, as we carry on round up towards the north, still looks still very distinctly the Orb Vallis, but just the fact that there's so much less snow on the ground is arguably very noticeable. As you come up here to Reflector Control again, no noticeable changes up here. If anything, it's just the same as always. So this little place up to the north that no one really goes to because you've not really got a reason to go there. And over here we've got another crater, obviously, which is the star crater. Again, nothing really there, but as we head around to the Temple of Prophet, we can still see yet another reminder of Narma architecture with another Narma glass veil panel thing on the actual building itself. So again, another constant reminder of the New War and what happened. Now obviously, I'm waiting here for a second. That sound there. Exploiter Orb, she is still found around here with her little coolant fracnoids despite what happened with the Narma architecture. Still got the tunnel down through here, which I've never actually been through before. No. So, as we get closer to the edge of the map, actually, you'll be able to see one of the Murex a lot better if I come in over here and show it you guys properly. You can truly see the Murex there, the remains of the architecture. Now, we come down here to the temple fabrication. Now, this is the final key place that I want to point out to you guys. A big empty space here. They actually constructed a metal version of Ballas's head. A constant reminder of Narma and Ballas himself. A constant reminder of the one who caused this entire war for his own personal gains and trying to get to the Tau system. Truly evil, despicable man. And thankfully, obviously, as we know, he was killed by Lotus in the quest itself, but the fact that his head remains there is still that constant reminder. So, if I go back here now, what we want to do is I want to go into my codex actually, because I want to just bring up the actual New War itself, just to discuss the key point at the end here. So what could be coming next? We're now in 2022. The New War was absolutely amazing, but people are already saying it was so last year. What's 2022 going to bring? That last paragraph there. Now the Tenno face new questions. The paradox of the Drifter's origins and the threads binding them to a nameless void entity. So obviously we have the threads binding us to the man in the wall, or the indifference, or the lidless eye, whatever name you want to call him. I always call him the man in the wall because that's what Rel calls him in the Chains of Harrow quest when Rel is saying rap tap tap. He is telling us about this void entity who effectively gave us our abilities as a Tenno. Now, the paradox of the Drifter's origins. Now, the Drifter is supposedly our operator, but if he had never been saved by Margulis. So, effectively, there's two of us that both exist in harmony, but at the same time they're not. Which is why the Drifter looks older, because I've had a lot of questions of people saying, why does the Drifter look older? Well, he looks older because he was never put into the cryo sleep by Margulis, so therefore he aged and he looks older. But the key thing is the way that it's mentioned there, the paradox. The next quest should and could be the Duviri paradox.
I thought you'd want to know.
I'm glad Lotus has been thinking, because we've been doing a lot of that in this video. But the paradox, the Duviri paradox, something teased to us in TennoCon 2019, something yet to come. It was teased after the new war was first teased in 2018, and they originally gave us a timeline in TennoCon 2019, which put the Duviri paradox roughly 5 to 6 months after the new war. So we should hopefully be having our first dev stream of 2022 coming up in a few weeks, potentially in February. But when that comes, we perhaps might find out a little bit more about what is to come in Warframe in 2022. Or perhaps they will make us wait all the way until TennoCon 2022, July. 6 more months. But that's my theory on what's coming next. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. But with that said, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it informative, enjoyable and fun to watch. And I'll see you all in the next one.